the Pac-12 news is hot and heavy today for whatever reason.
And it's not good. Like we were kind of thought that there would be big news coming out of it, that the Pac-12 had kind of got its at least for the foreseeable future, its members, and then we were told not so fast.
Well, they did get Colorado State, Fresno State, Boise State, and San Diego State.
Yeah, but that happened a while back.
Yeah.
But so they're sitting at 6. We knew they had to get to, at least 8. Arguably, they wanted to get to 9 or 10. So, they were sniffing around the AAC schools. We knew that. And today was kind of put up as a deadline for that. And then if that didn't work out, they would maybe sniff back around some of the Mountain West schools. And apparently they got told no on both fronts.
Yeah, so Air Force and UNLV are staying in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
That was they reiterated that today.
Yeah, Pete Thamel had that, said sources that UNLV and Air Force are committing to it. And that's a big deal because for the Mountain West, that's kind of their 2 anchor schools right now.
Yeah, and I guess the report is that the Mountain West is offering them cash, basically taking the exit fees from the 4 schools that left for the Pac-12 and offering guaranteed money to UNLV and Air Force and everybody else in that league in order to stay.
Yes.
And that seems to have worked.
Yeah.
And then you have, in the American Athletic, you have Tulane, Memphis, South Florida, and Texas San Antonio, and all 4 of those schools announced they are staying.
Yeah, so the AAC, and I saw this last week, that the AAC was putting on a big blitz to their teams, basically saying, with the Pac-12, you have an unknown, right? You don't know what the media deal is. You don't know what the leadership is. All of that is very strange. And by the way, it's a long way to travel. Same thing we've heard from, Pac-12 fans that broke up about going to the Big Ten, and certainly with going to the ACC. The difference is those schools are getting a lot of money. The AAC media deal is $9 million per school. It's the best of the group of 5, soon to be group of 6, right? Media deals. So the Pac-12 is kicking around a number somewhere between 9 and 12 million, seems to be the one that everyone's kind of kicking around. Some people believe that that's closer to 10. So, and I brought this up last week, for a school like Tulane, is it worth packing up and going out west for an extra $1 million? And supposedly what the AAC did was tell their teams, hey, we are on top of this. We understand. One, we have a media rights deal that's going to be on par, if not, right. I don't know about better, but on par with the Pac-12. And they are going to bring in private equity. They understand that they cannot operate the way that the Power 4 do, and they already have a plan in place to be aggressive and kind of be the most forward-thinking group of 5 conference. And they sold that to their teams. And apparently they sold it to them enough to where the unknown of the Pac-12 wasn't enticing.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It sort of feels like they're all kind of the same.
Yeah. Well, and
so why bounce around? Like, I would imagine they got a better deal now because they were being flirted with.
Sure.
So,
maybe you get a little extra area. You say, hey, when the private equity comes in, you guys get a little bigger slice of the pie.
And the other thing to me is that I just feel like I don't know how much it matters, the difference between like the Mountain West and the American Athletic and the new Pac-12 and whatever other stupid leagues are out there. First of all, nobody knows who plays in what.
No.
Like, can you name the AAC teams?
I mean, I can. Actually, I can for the
all
most
of
part.
them.
Oh, not all of them, but I can give you the big.
Because I'm looking at the standings.
Yeah.
It's Army, Navy, North Texas, East Carolina, South Florida, Memphis, Tulane. Obviously, we talked about UTSA, but then also UAB, Tulsa, Florida Atlantic.
It's not great.
Rice, Temple. Like, who cares? What is the difference between that and this Mountain West that now has Air Force and UNLV as its top teams? Pac-12 is maybe a little better because of Oregon State and Washington State, but not much because they're now going to have to add, like, they're saying now that Utah State has been offered a spot in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And then that's what, 7? So they need at least 1 more, if not 3 more. And what's that going to be? Like North Dakota State?
Well, and my thing is, what I don't understand this notion of like, oh, we want to build the toughest conference. I don't think you do. To me, when you're talking about the group of 5 here or group of 6, whatever you want to call it, look, your media deal is going to be what it is, right? There's not
kind of all the same.
Exactly. There's not a single thing. The Mountain West deal actually sucks. The Mountain West pays like $4 million a year. So, but when their deal is up, I would assume that they get a bump and get closer to that 9 or 10 million. But there's not a single school amongst this group that drives any sort of TV revenue, right? So the deals are all going to be somewhat comparable to each other. So this idea of the AAC being tougher than the Mountain West or the Pac-12 being tougher than the AAC, who cares? You only get one shot at getting into the playoff. And I would make the argument that playing in a softer conference and being 11-1 is better than playing in a tougher conference and being 10-2.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the only thing that matters for those schools are, can you have a media deal that's somewhat functional? And I think that's all going to happen because, like you said, all those deals are going to be roughly the same. And then it's about access to the playoff. And I don't think that going through a tougher gauntlet of the group of five makes any sort of difference. And I think schools are starting to realize that. And they're like, dude, we're not jumping ship to go pack up and go to something that we don't know, because you can call it the Pac-12. At the end of the day, it's unknown leadership. It's unknown who the rest of the teams are, whereas the AAC has some stability. The one that I think is surprising is UNLV. UNLV and Air Force said no. Like, that's the one that I found odd. And I also want to see how much money the Mountain West agreed to pay them to get them to stay.
Yeah.
And isn't it weird that it's the Pac-12's own money
Yeah.
that's getting those two schools to stay?
I would imagine if they were going to get UNLV and Air Force, they would have got him initially with the other four. So obviously they were holdouts from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
or maybe the Pac-12 was trying to play tough and only give them half shares, thinking that
well, that didn't work.
That didn't work.
So yeah, I mean, the Mountain West figured out, hey, we got a bunch of money coming in from all these exit fees. We'll just give it to the 8 remaining schools. And for them, they're like, well, I can take that, or I can go to the unknown of this projected Pac-12 revenue, which isn't that much better than what the Mountain West will be once, like you said, they get a new deal. So I'll just take we'll just take the cash, and stay here.
So,
and like you said, it's easier to win here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's one other consideration here that we haven't discussed, which with regards to these group of fives,